Well, it looks like no one's going to show up. Freedom is there. It is greatly more in supply than in demand, obviously. So what I will do for the last 10 minutes of the hour that I've reserved on Zoom is give you a little bit of a look at what I believe freedom is. And I won't talk about how I found freedom in an unfree world of Harry Brown. I'll save that for another. I think I'll just do a video on that just by myself and won't include others coming in, which obviously there are none today. And maybe even in the future, people don't seem to be all that interested in it unless there's a lot of drama about it, so which is not my way of doing it. I want to invite you quietly into what I believe freedom can be. And to do that, let me switch over to my screen sharing so I can show you my free friends. This comes from, I'll just get these out of the way. This is my books for Harry there. This is my resource for your source, my major personal website. It has many, many pages, as you can see here, something like 30, believe it or not. But this one is Resource for Your Source, Themes, the Me's of Jack. And this particular topic on this page is Free Friends. And I have a great musical here by Carlos Santana, one of my very favorites. And this is just quickly give you a little taste of this to get you toned up and ready for it. And while that's going on, I'll just do this. I'm talking about the Free Friends Project Invitation. So the way I put it to you, I would like you to consider the following and act according to your best reasoning based on reality principle. The physics and truth corresponds to reality. Just trying to stop. So, okay, while that's playing for us, let me give this a little bit to you here. So again, I'll start the Free Friends Project Invitation. As you can see there, I'd like you to consider the following that act according to your best reasoning based on reality, physics. For me, reality is real things, and the etymology of real is things. It literally or etymologically says things, actual physical things, not the beliefs up here in our head. What comes out of our brains as our minds, ego, which the usual spiritual projects, literally projectors and religious projectors, want to cover over because they don't want to deal with it. Reality means for humans, us, death. Knowing this means limitations, it means suffering, it means pain, and of course, it also means an incredible amount of joy that's out there naturally when we live our lives, especially outside of what I call the iron cage of gods and governments. So, back to this. What does it mean to be free? 1. 2, what is stopping you from being free? 3, what can you do to get free? For me, these are the 3 most important questions you should be asking yourself. What do you think about that? I mean, do you think about what does it actually mean to be free? Does it mean like having $1 million going out and buying whatever you want? Okay, mine is very different from that. And here, let me just turn this down. For me, freedom is, as Nietzsche would put it, the will to be responsible for yourself, and Lord Acton, I would add to that, the prevention of control by others. There's the best definition of freedom I've ever found. And it all boils down to you are your own ruler, which is what anarchists, or I put it as autarchist, self-rule, or the anarchist is no rule. I prefer the positive. It's self-rule. You rule yourself. You allow no one else to command you. No one else controls you. And most people don't know what this is. They've never really thought deeply about what is actually controlling, what's living them. most people are not what I consider real thinkers. A true thinker thinks his, her own thoughts, but most of us are thought by the thoughts that live in our minds. What the biologist Daniel Dawkins, rather, what he called the selfish gene, and he made up the word meme to be the same and the cultural similarities to the physical genes. So memes are what live within our minds, within our brains, and control our actions. And this is what makes communism, what makes gods, what makes governments. All these things are thoughts that are thinking us. We're not thinking them. They're all ghosts. This is Max Stirner, who was an anarchist back in the 1800s. And he wrote a book about this, and I read this very early on in my stage of getting free. And basically, this is it. So these three questions, the most important questions. One, I mean that to be free is to be able to act in any way you choose. You should act however you want. Don't let others tell you, oh, that's against the law. The government says this. God says that. You can't do it. No, you can't. You do. I've done it since I was 17. You can act in any way you choose, except one thing. And this is the principle for autarkists, anarchists, and most libertarians, not other people. You cannot initiate physical force or threat of this to get what you want. Now, notice physical force. I'm not talking about psychological. Oh, if you don't go to bed with me, I'm going to fire you. I don't consider that coercion. I consider only the initiation of physical force or the threat of it. That's the only time when you can defend yourself, use physical force to defend yourself. You cannot initiate physical force. This is very clear. So you don't get into, oh, well, is this coercion? Is this illegal? Whatever. No, you're free to do anything except use physical force or the threat of it to get what you want from another person. In other words, you got to trade for it. That's the core of being free. You become a trader. You have something of value that you will offer to another person, and if they think it's of value and what you want from them is of value to you, you make the trade, and that's where freedom exists. The free market is that, and it's voluntary. That's the key word, V for voluntary, which is the true victory of morality, of moral right over physical might, and that's really what we're talking about here. So what's stopping us from being free to do whatever we want other than initiate physical force to get what we want? Well, I believe it's your evolutionarily derived brain mind. That is, as I put it, it's your genes, your society, your culture, basically in the family. This is where it all comes from. When you look at the etymology of Pa, which is pattern, and Pa, which means father, Papa, patriotism, the nation, everything, all of this, the ruling pattern is the family. And the family comes from the selfish gene. This is how we're programmed. This is how we survive. This is how we got to where we were, that sex, the whole thing that's driving us today and has driven us for tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of years, is the family. We've come out of this matrix, the matrix of the movie, and it is what is living us. And you have to get free. You have to step out of the cell of the family in order to truly be free. And this is what I'm saying. So I'm saying, you choose nothing, no gods, no governments, no nations, no father, no mother. You are the cause of what you choose to be the result of. And I say by sacrifice, I mean you give your life to someone or something, it's always someone else, to serve. You allow them to live your life rather than you. To me, this is insane, crazy. You are living your own life. You're the one it should be lived for. Don't sacrifice it to another person. Allow them to live your life. But this is how most of us do. And 3, what can you do to get free, assuming you do want to get free? Well, this is what I'm saying, the most important deal breaker, or stopped all the above. You may not want to get free. And in fact, most of us don't want to get free. From my perspective, most people want to stay enslaved, and because they feel saved and safe this way. This is what gods and governments do. They act as the all-protecting father, and that is what most people want. So, and just to sum up and end now, because I'm coming to the end here, if you do want to get free of what I term at the most basic driving level of the DNA dictator, then you will have to begin a deep and extensive examination of yourself and evolutionarily based human history. You will have to read texts that I can provide you and explain to you that will prove or not to you by empirical evidence the truth of what exists in the matters I am discussing here. So that's the end of it. I hope you've enjoyed this little tidbit and might make you interested to come back. I'll stop my sharing of the screen back to myself. I don't know if you can notice my eye. I just had at 72 the cataract operation on my right eye just yesterday morning. And wow, I can actually see clearly out of my right eye for the first time in, I don't know, 4 years since it started going cloudy. So this to me is symbolic. I've got a new window, my right eye connected to my left brain. This is the ego, the verbal, the analytical, the logical brain that we very much need to sort out how we should be living. And of course, the right side of the brain connected to my good left eye still, which is the emotional one. This is the basic driver of all humanity. And I use Jake Panksepp's 7 emotional brains in this sense, in this way. Okay, hope to see you, interest you in this. Take care. And that is it for now.